Hello, I'm live. That's good. It worked. Today it's the 1st of June, pinch punch, first of the month, and it is a Wednesday. And I am reading still out of Life in Spirit, which is Harry Edwards' account of the afterlife. I'm now on section 2 of this book, which deals more with a guide, really. This chapter 22 is a guide for the development of mediumship. The book up until now was mainly about the story of John and Mary, and he says here in the Sleevenotes, any John, any Mary, brother and sister, husband and wife, sweethearts, friends. The story of you and me, but with this difference: John and Mary have died and have entered into their new life in spirit. Harry Edwards was a well-known healer, and he ran a beautiful sanctuary in Surrey, I think. Might even still be around, I don't know. So, chapter 22, a guide for the development of mediumship. Introduction. Any advice that can be given to enable aspirants to mediumship to show the manner in which they can develop the gifts of the spirit should be accurate and simply expressed. It is not necessary for a person to be a man or woman of letters or to be versed in psychic science to become a medium. In the past there have been many instances of simple folk being outstanding mediums and healers. Many people wish to become mediums, to see the spirit people, to hear them speak, to obtain counsel, to heal the sick, to help the bereaved, to give advice and assist those who are in need. This desire is sometimes simply that of satisfying the personal ego, to be different from other people, the wish to be looked up to and to be put on the mantle of mysticism. This is an entirely wrong approach to mediumship. Mediumship has a purpose, and that is to demonstrate to man that he is not just a physical being, but that he is a part spirit. That this life is but an apprenticeship for the greater and fuller life that commences with a physical death. That through this knowledge mankind will receive the impetus to adopt an enlightened code of values, that in its involvement will outlaw war, poverty, and the other ignoble trends in our present way of life. Thus the true motive that inspires mediumship is a spiritual one. If this is not so, then no reason can be found for the great efforts the evolved personality in spirit life, the teachers, philosophers, doctors and others make to use human instruments for the progression of all souls. Therefore, aspirants to mediumship should possess that inner yearning to be used for the higher purpose, and to view their seeking to mediumship as a means to help others. It should be the denial of selfishness and the giving of the self to a spiritual purpose. A true medium thereby becomes a participant in the divine plan for the furtherance of good. Mediumship is a superior divine plan for the furtherance of good. It's superior to race, religion or color, and there's no reason why any medium cannot continue to observe any religious observance or he or she chooses, and to incorporate any religious observance, and to incorporate the mediumship within this. In the past, mediumship has existed in many phases. It too has progressed with knowledge and understanding of the spiritual directive. It has survived attack, ridicule and opposition. Until today it is respectable and acknowledged by scientists, religious leaders, the press, and the law of the United Kingdom. Any form of mediumship is an exact spirit science, but it cannot be assessed by analysis or material value. It cannot be put under the microscope. Through our inability to fully comprehend the science of mediumship, an air of mysticism has surrounded it, and this has at times given rise to questionable practices and opinions. Today, there are a great number of development classes being held in the spiritualist churches and in home circles. The mediums who conduct these are sincere good people, but it is understandable that owing to a lack of true appreciation of what mediumship actually is, all sorts of traditional practices have arisen. These practices have been handed down from medium to medium through repetition and have become accepted as being true, when in fact they may not be. Later on, these practices will be referred to and reason given why they should not be adopted anymore. No one should attempt development if he or she is neurotic or fearful. Mediumship needs a mind that is strong, purposeful, and capable of self-discipline. A physical deformity or affliction need not interfere with the development of mediumship, but it is again stressed that any aspirant to mediumship should be of sound mind and capable of forming balanced judgments, and to impose self-discipline. The latter quality is most essential. In this book, the aspirant to mediumship will be shown the logical basis on which communication with the spirit people takes place, so that developing the gift of the spirit may proceed as a reasoned process. The spirit potential. In the beginning, it is necessary for an aspirant to mediumship to have a correct appreciation of what mediumship implies and the need for an elementary understanding of the spirit potential man possesses. Except in some very rare cases of mediumship, such as those associated with physical phenomena, etc., it is the medium's spirit faculties that are used and expressed through his consciousness and mental equipment by the spirit guide. It is one's consciousness that receives thought, which is the awareness of things and the association of them as recorded through the senses. Thought can also arise from the reservoir of one's personal knowledge and experience. It is able to relate one piece of knowledge with another and arrive at a conclusion. In a similar manner, the consciousness can be receptive to thought and impressions from a spirit source. The mirror of the mind. At this early stage, it is essential for the beginner to understand the way in which the consciousness operates. This can be simply explained by regarding the consciousness as a mirror. Onto this mirror is projected all physical thought, sensation, pain, and the experiences arising from the senses. In life, the mirror is never free from some impression, thought pictures, recollections from memory, etc., in one form or another. When one sees or hears, it is not the eyes or the ears that see and hear. These organs receive radiations or impulses, and these are transmitted along the nerve system to the brain. When they are translated into recognizable experiences that are projected onto the mirror of the consciousness. In hearing, sound impulses are converted into an intelligent appreciation of their meaning by virtue of one's knowledge, how to interpret the result into words, whose meanings we understand. The use of the term mirror of the mind will be constantly referred to throughout this section, and therefore it is important the reader should clearly understand how this works. We possess, in addition to physical perception through the ordinary mind, a spirit mind. This is concerned with the reception of impressions, experiences, and thought pictures from a spirit source. The mirror of the mind is able to receive these spirit experiences when the mirror is unoccupied by physical ones. The consciousness is unable to hold two distinct sets of thought impressions at the same time. Hence, the developing medium has the need to learn the way of clearing the mirror of physical thought and so allow it to receive spirit thought and impressions. Thoughts of objects are presented onto the mirror as pictures. For example, if you close your eyes and think of a common object such as a pencil, a presentation of this will be projected onto the mirror in the form of a picture taking the character which the person conceives it to be. If the thought of a pencil is qualified by the suggestion of an ever-sharp pencil, the picture will alter from a common wooden one into a silver automatic pencil. If the person has no idea what an ever-sharp pencil looks like, he will be unable to receive any sort of picture on the mirror. Thus, if a spirit guide wished to convey the thought of a pencil, the mirror would receive a picturization in accordance with the character of the pencil presented to it. Another example might be that the guide conveys the thought of mother. The mirror would then receive a representation of this person's mother, as would naturally come from the general recollection of a mother as remembered or as described. This aspect will be dealt with in detail when we come to consider clairvoyance. The present purpose is to give a simple overall explanation of the method by which we see and hear from the spirit communicator. Thus we observe that the physical mind works in the closest harmony with the spirit mind, and both have the common meeting place on the mirror of consciousness. The same process applies with inspirational or trance speaking. In this, the guide will transmit a flow of thought sequences through the spirit mind onto the mirror of the consciousness, where it will be converted into the form of words to clothe the thoughts according to the medium's knowledge of language. If he possesses an extensive vocabulary, the thoughts from spirit will be better expressed than with those whose knowledge of words is more limited. The better a medium is mentally equipped, the better will be the presentation of the mediumship. Thus, an early directive for the beginner is to develop the art of receiving thought impressions from the spirit guide by encouraging the faculty of attunement or affinity with him. And the way to do this is shown in the section that follows. Entering into the silence. I've got a snoring dog here. When the writer commenced his development, he joined the typical development circles, where a dozen aspirants sat under the leadership of an experienced medium. He was told to enter into the silence, to concentrate. To do this, I was told to focus my thoughts on the cross or on a flower, or to imagine I was looking through a long tunnel, with emphasis on the need for a prolonged concentration. I was informed that if I did this, my mind would become blank and the guide would take control. From what the writer has heard, this process with variations is the customary routine in many developing circles for beginners. In the light of experience, I now see how much better this initial training could have been. By acts of concentration, in any direction, the mirror of my mind was strongly, possessively occupied by my own thoughts, thus obstructing any inflow of spirit communication. This word concentration is very commonly used during development. It is a wrong word, giving a wrong idea, as a much better directive would be found in allowing abandonment of thought to take place. True it is that contemplation of a beautiful symbol is a way to help meditation, which, while not actual development, is helpful in the attainment of mental relaxation as a prelude to the coming of abandonment of the active physical consciousness. So, to leave the mirror open and moreover assist in the introductory period for the coming of the guide. In those now far-off days, the writer sought for advice, just how to enter into the silence, how to make my mind blank. But I could not find it in any book or any answer to my questioning. It is doubtful whether there is any set line of advice that can be given on this to show how it can be specifically attained, for it is such a personal matter, needing individual adjustment to suit various temperaments and personalities. It is a subtle condition that arises from the ability to meditate with relaxation. In the section Early Development, we will give some indication of how this can be attained. The blank mind. So, many beginners are told to look for their mind becoming blank, a condition of unconsciousness, and the majority of sitters expect this state to come. Some refuse to let themselves go further until this blankness robs them of consciousness. So let this be very plain. It is quite impossible for a mind to become blank. No one can consciously or purposefully induce this. So long as we are conscious, so must the mirror of the mind be occupied in some way. Even when we sleep, the mind is not 2% dormant. It's not 100% dormant. It is aware of sound and the physical being. The mirror is never blank. Even under anesthetic, the mind is working. Dreams are a result of mental activity. In these, there is projected onto the mirror thought pictures, sometimes in a distorted way. That is, the thoughts run free without a direction, and without any direction controlled by the self. It is when these thought impressions are strong that the consciousness recalls them on waking. Some mediums may say, for the purpose of romanticizing their gift, to seek prestige and to impress others, that their minds become quite blank when in trance or under control of the guide, and they say that they do not remember anything that has taken place. It is unlikely that this is strictly true, but no one can say it is not so while there are exceptions in the general rule. It is the writer's opinion that it is only in very rare cases, such as with physical mediumship, that the medium is completely unaware of what is taking place in a trance state. Actually, the reverse is the case. The reverse is the case, for the medium under control has his mind tensed up, and as the guide uses it so it works faster, it becomes superactive and oversensitive. It is a common experience that when a medium is in trance state, he becomes very vulnerable to any unexpected noise or interference, and the reaction is more severe. The point is that mediums invariably know exactly what is taking place, though they are not responsible for what is being said or done under the spirit influence. Thus, the beginner should not seek a blank mind state, for he cannot induce it. Early development. In the early days of development, one should sit only at the regular circle time arranged for. The sitter should never sit for control alone. He should only sit in the presence of an experienced medium in the proper circle. When sitting, the primary purpose should be that, through meditation leading to the surrender of the physical consciousness, the spirit mind will be able to rise ascendant and convey impressions to the mirror of the mind, which the sitter registers. The sitter must be willing for his guide to communicate through him. Because no mind can ever become blank, the sitter is advised to sit comfortably, resignedly, and then to gently meditate upon some spiritual line of thought, letting his mind enter into that state which can best be described as daydreaming, or building castles in the air. In this, there should be a spiritual objective. There can be the gentle contemplation of beautiful things, flowers, a garden, seeking healing for the sick, seeking a way to show humanity the way of redemption. The inner self should be willing for the inflow of thoughts or pictures to come of a spirit high nature, and as it comes, then subconsciously he should welcome it and just let it flow continuously. In this way, the mind becomes quiescent, gently letting the condition of receptivity arise for the thought pictures to register themselves from spirit. There is no sudden break from one phase to the other. It is gentle, smooth merging of good thought intention from the medium's meditation to the incoming of thought from spirit sources. It can be likened to two streams of thought that merge together. There is no dividing line between the two. It is in this manner that communication first comes and projects itself upon the mirror of the mind, so that the consciousness is aware of the inflow of the thought from the sitter's spirit guide. Okay, so I'm finishing at this point, and this is again a longer chapter, and this is page 192, and the next chapter is the closeness between the physical and the spirit mind. Bye bye. Have a good Wednesday.